All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is a meter stick. So the question to you is, how many centimeters are in a meter? Well, a centimeter, there's one little centimeter here, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many centimeters are in a meter? You guys know this. There are 100. So if I just want 1 centimeter, what would the fraction be for this whole meter stick if I just want 1? If you said 1/100th, you're right, because it's one piece out of 100 pieces. So this is what I was just talking about. We have 100 centimeters, which equals 1 meter, or 1/100th of a meter. The way to write that in decimal form is I have 0 wholes, I have 0 tenths, and I have 1/100th. So my tenths are nothing, my 100th is 1. So 1/100th is written this way. So if I wanted to do 3/100ths, go ahead and pause and write how you think 3/100ths would look. Good luck. This is how it would look. 3/100ths of a meter. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a meter strip of paper divided into 10 pieces, because I've divided up those 100 divided by 10 centimeters each. So what I have here in front of you is I have a meter strip that is divided into 10 pieces. If I come up, you can see the lines. So if I shade in one section, just one, what does that represent out of the whole meter stick? It's divided into 10 pieces. What does one piece represent? Well, you should say 1/10, because that's 1 out of 10 pieces. That's 1/10 of a meter. How many centimeters are in this section? How many centimeters are in 1/10 of a meter? Pause while you think about it. And go ahead and have your problem set in front of you. We're going to work through this together. So you just watched the beginning part of my video that showed me holding a meter stick. Well, that's what this is here. It says, what is the length of the shaded part of the meter stick in centimeters? Well, because I have one shaded part, so as I was saying, this part right here represents a certain amount of centimeters. Since I have 10 pieces, this is 1/10 of a meter, which is 10/100ths. It's as though this meter stick was cut into 10, 10, 10, 10. Every little chunk had 10 pieces. So this is the same as 10, oops, not thousands, 10/100ths. That's what that would look like. Or 10 centimeters. All right, so the fraction is 10/100ths, and the centimeters would be 10 centimeters on that meter stick. If I had this meter stick right here, maybe, you'll see this chunk is 10 centimeters out of the whole meter stick. All right, the next piece, in fraction form, express the length of the shaded portion of the meter stick. So if we look at this, these are 10 little shaded pieces. So it's not going to be 1/10 because there's 10 little pieces shaded in. You have to pretend that all of these have 10 shaded or 10 pieces broken as well. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. So again, we're dealing with hundredths because a meter stick is broken into 100 centimeters, and only 10 of them are colored. So it'd be 10/100ths of a meter. The next one says, in decimal form, express the length of the shaded portion of the meter stick. So the shaded portion of the meter stick in decimal form. So you're going to turn this into a decimal. Go ahead and pause while you do that. This is what you should have come up with, 10/100ths of a meter. And the last thing is, what fraction of a meter is 10 centimeters? So what fraction of a meter is 10 centimeters? So what fraction is this whole thing, this 10 centimeters? That's when you look at, oh, I only have 10 compartments, and one of them is filled in. So it's 1/10 of a meter. This next one says 1/10 equals how many hundredths? Well, 1/10 equals how many hundredths? So if I cover up this little 0, that's 1/10. How many hundredths is that? Well, of course, it's 10 hundredths. Now in fraction form, 1/10 equals 10 hundredths. Again, 1 times 10 got me 10. 10 times 10 got me 100. So go ahead and solve this one. How do I get from 2 meters to 20 meters? What do I do to the top? I do to the bottom. Pause while you figure it out. What you should have found is that 2 times 10 is 20, and 10 times 10 is 100. What you do to the top, you do to the bottom. So 2/10 is the same as 20 hundredths. It would look like this. 2/10, 20 hundredths. Let's go on to number 3. Use the model to add the shaded parts as shown. Write a number bond with the total written in decimal form and the parts written as fractions. First one has been done for you, so this one's done. They have 1/10, and then if you can't see it, there are only 3 of these guys shaded. Remember, when it's cut into these pieces, we're talking about hundredths. This is not a tenth anymore. They've cut it up into hundredths. So I have 3 hundredths. So 1 plus 3 is 13. 13 hundredths or 13 hundredths. And they broke it over here into a number bond. 13 hundredths is broken into 1/10 plus 3 hundredths. Go ahead and flip the page. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. First, we're going to figure out what we have here. What does this represent? Fully shaded, those are tenths. So I have 2/10 meters plus, look very carefully, how many of those are shaded? Well, there are 4. But what are they? Are they tenths? I hope you said no. They're actually hundredths. And then you go ahead and add them. 2 plus 4, well not plus 4, but 2/10, 4 hundredths is 24. 2/10, 4 hundredths, 24 hundredths, which equals 0.24 meters. Sorry, if I said add before, I didn't mean add. You have 2/10, so that's in the tenths place, then 4 hundredths, 24 hundredths. To break this up, 0.24 meters breaks into 2/10 and 4 hundredths. That's how it should look. All right, let's go ahead and move on to number 4. On each meter stick, shade in the amount shown, then write the equivalent decimal. Well, this is dealing with 8/10 meters. So 8/10, well, these are already broken into tenths, aren't they? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8/10. And show it in decimal form at 0.8 meters. Make sense? Okay. Let's do 7 hundredths. Oh, hundredths. Can I fill in 7 boxes? Absolutely not. But I can cut these into 10 little pieces. Go ahead and do that and then color in 7. Pause. So you should have cut it into 10 little pieces because that's what represents hundredths. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. And shaded in 7, which equals 0 wholes, 0/10, because the whole thing's not shaded in, 7 hundredths. See if you can figure out how to do C. I have 1/10 and 9 hundredths. Go ahead and pause while you try it. Here, you should have had 1/10 colored in and then 9 hundredths. And what I did this time is I knew that 9 hundredths was really close to 10 hundredths, which would be the whole thing. So I colored in everything but one little strip. All right, guys, last part. We're going to draw a number bond pulling out the tenths from the hundredths, as in the problem 3 up here. Write the total as an equivalent decimal. So let's see what this looks like. If we break this apart, 19/100ths, I have 1/10 and 9/100ths, because that 1 is in the tenths place, which is equivalent to 0.19 meters. Go ahead and do B, C, and D, and then play it back and see if you're right. Go ahead and pause. This is what yours should have looked like. If it doesn't, maybe it's time to raise your hand and ask for help. All right, go ahead and find a partner. You have this template available to you in your place value chart if you need it. You're going to go ahead and work on homework with a partner. Have good luck.